Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you're watching another What I'm Reading Right Now video here on the channel. It is the 16th of July today and I am here to talk to you about what I have been reading, what I'm currently reading, and what I shall be reading next. I only have 2 books to tell you about. The reading is still slow, but I'm hopeful that it will increase in the next month or so. I think we're in a dip and we're going to move into a peak soon. First, I will talk about finishing my book for my T. Kingfisher read-along. I finished The Wonder Engine. This is the sequel to The Clockwork Boys. It is book 2 in the Clock Tour duology. It is set in the same universe as the Saint of Steel books, as the sword one that I still can't remember the name of. Nope, it's completely gone from my brain. And it's the continuation of the story of book 1, where we have a group of criminals set out to do a potentially deadly, probably deadly quest in order to take down the Clockwork Boys that are coming out of a nearby city, which are lethal war machines. It's a really fun book. It's much more romance focused than the other ones, I would argue, but there's still a really solid plot in the background. If you like T. Kingfisher's fantasy romance, you'll like this. It is less focused on romance than the Saint of Steel series is, but it is still very much focused on romance. So know that going in if you want to read these. I think they're fantastic. They do that wonderful T. Kingfisher mix of romance and horror in a really fun way. I really enjoyed it. A great time. I think I've concluded that I don't personally think it matters what order you read Clockwork Boys and the Saint of Steel series in. I think it's pretty fine either way. Your mileage may vary. Feel free to sound off in the comments if you think there are major plot spoilers. I didn't feel like there were, but as we know, I have a memory like a sieve for any detail of books, so if it would ruin it for you, please do let other people know. The other book I finished, I'm so excited to tell you about. This was my review copy of The Sky on Fire by Jen Lyons. This is the latest book from Jen Lyons, the author of Chorus of Dragons, one of my favourite series of all time. I have reviews up for it if you want to check those out. This is her latest dragon book, and it's not only a dragon adventure book, it's a dragon adventure heist book, and it's so good. It manages in a wonderful way to feel different from Chorus of Dragons, which is hard to do when you're writing another dragon fantasy, but this is much more where Chorus of Dragons had dragons be these kind of unreachable, enormous entities. Sky on Fire dragons are still fairly enormous and still fairly inscrutable, but they are present in society in a different way, so it feels very different. But the core kind of themes of Jen Lyons' work, which is a very queer norm world, some really interesting cultural world building, and overall just a fun plot, definitely flow through. I think actually I would really recommend it if you couldn't get into Chorus of Dragons because of all the layers of meta that are in those books. I think this is a much more accessible book. It definitely took a little while to warm up because there's quite a lot of dropping you in at the deep end as a reader and hoping you will eventually figure out what's going on. However, by I want to say probably 50 pages in, I was so hooked. I really enjoyed this. Heist dragons, what's not to like? If I have time, it will get a full review. And I'm probably going to buy a copy of it at some point. So in the fullness of time, it will get a review because I'm going to review everything I own and I'm going to buy it. So there's that. So yes, I only finished 2 things, but it's okay. I'm in the middle of 2 other things. I'm still reading Shards of Earth. Nothing has changed because I'm still doing other audiobooks, and that is a problem. Because I decided that to read Midnight Never Come, which is the first book in Murray Brennan's Onyx Court series, which I've been really excited to read, and I started it and I was like, oh, this is quite dense. And maybe I'll try the audiobook for at least the first one just to get me into it. And I'm really liking the audio so far. I will say if you're planning on picking it up and you're like me and you tend to have audiobooks on faster than 1.5 times speed, in that I have them at 3.5 times speed, don't worry about it. The male narrator's voice gets very garbled, so I've had to listen to it slower than I would perhaps like. But in terms of the plot, it's very interesting. We have the Elizabethan court in England, Tudor England, and then we have the Onyx Court, which is the fairy court, and I'm about 16% of the way through, I think was the last time I looked at it, and so far it's beginning to see how those 2 things are going to dovetail, and these 2 characters who are kind of placed in both courts might intermingle and conspiracy and all that stuff. I think it's going to be really good fun. It is definitely making me have to dig out my memories of my Tudor history classes when I was doing my A-levels, which is quite a long time ago now. I don't remember everything, but thankfully my coursework was on Elizabeth and spies, so hopefully some of that will come back to me. And if it doesn't, then it's a book about fairies, so it's fine. I don't think we need to worry too much about it being entirely historically accurate. Okay, this is my to be read, which is essentially this rolling list of everything I haven't managed to finish in the last 4 weeks now, probably. So this is going to sound overambitious, and I'm aware that it is, and I know full well I'm not going to finish all of these. I have a full day of D&D on Saturday. Sunday is busy. It's not going to happen, but I really like having this as a kind of growing list. I'm deciding that it's not going to stress me out, and in fact I'm going to love having all of these options. That's my current goal. Vicious and Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. I am in the Schwab era of reading for overbooked. I know I like these. It's time for some superhero content, some supervillain content as well. I'm looking forward to it. I'm interested to see how I feel about these, especially knowing that I didn't love Gallant. But I remember liking these. It's just been a long time, and I find with V.E. Schwab, sometimes I really get on with her work, and sometimes I find it a little bit wanky. So I'm interested to see how I feel about these sometime on. They are very beautiful special editions. I want to read my 3rd and 4th edition of Lore Olympus, which are on my shelves just out of frame. I bought these because I liked having the matching Illumicrate editions. I then didn't buy the next matching Illumicrate edition because I'm a chaos being, so we'll see how I feel about purchasing that in the future, potentially. Technically, because it's been 3 weeks of rolling content, Onyx Court Book 2 and 3 are also on my list. I think my plan is to finish Book 1. I'm going to try and do Book 2 via ebook because I can read that for free and I don't have to buy anything. If that doesn't work, I'll go back to audio, but I'd quite like to finish Shards of Earth so I can stop telling you about it every week, and the only way to do that is to not have any other audiobooks. Beast's Heart by Leif Shallcross. This is not what the actual cover looks like. I've shown the cover in a couple of past videos. This is a review copy that was sent to me many, many moons ago. 2018, there you go. In fact, could even have been 2017 for when this was sent. I don't remember. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I'll put it down so you don't get the glare. I remember enjoying it. I have a vague recollection of there being stuff to do with her sisters that were interesting in this. We'll find out. Then I have 2 review copies I would like to get to. Again, we're rolling the review copies. The first of which is A Rose by Any Other Name by Mary McMine. This I talked about a few weeks ago when it came in the post. It's the Dark Lady of Shakespeare's sonnets. It could be interesting. I'm not going to worry too much about thinking it's going to be great just because I know how I felt about Mother Gothel, which was that it was an interesting book, but it didn't entirely wow me. We'll see how this goes. And the other review copy on my list is Queen Bee by Juno Dawson. This is the spin-off book from Her Majesty's Royal Coven series, where we are looking at Anne Boleyn, who kind of founded the coven that we then read about in Her Majesty's Royal Coven and Shadow Cabinet, and eventually it's not Mortal Engines, it's something, I can't remember what the 3rd book is called. I'm really looking forward to this. I've liked every other book by Juno Dawson that I've read. It's a little bit of an accidental Tudor theme, I guess. My accidental theming. We've got Shakespeare, we've got Onyx Court, we've got Queen Bee. We'll see. No new books brought onto my shelves this week because frankly I would be ludicrous to do so. I guess you could argue I bought the audiobook of Midnight Never Come, so maybe if you factor that in. By the way, not sponsored to say this, I am still using XigXag, XigXag, and I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a really great way to read audiobooks if you want an alternative to some of the other audiobook services that are out there. It is great if you read a lot of audiobooks, but what's the word? It's great for audiobooks that aren't on other services, so a lot of the Orbit books I read through XigXag. And what I like about it is that the more books you buy, it decreases the price of the book, so it's not a case that you need to buy a number of credits or that you need to do anything else, but you are getting a discount if you read more, which I thought was interesting. It's working for me, at least. I will put a link down below. I think there is some kind of referral system. If there isn't, I'll just put a normal link, but it'll say what the referral is down in the description below. But I'm not being paid to talk about them. They're just the audiobook service I'm using the most at the moment after Everand. And the only new release I have to talk to you about, other than flagging up that The Sky on Fire is now out and you should definitely read it, is actually A Rose by Any Other Name, because I continue to be reading books in the week that they come out so that I can't get a review out for them with any kind of pace. But this is out now if you're interested in it, if it sounds cool, and I will get back to you on whether it's good, hopefully next week. Other things to update you on, I guess. Things are very busy. You'll notice, if you weren't on the Discord you won't know, but maybe you noticed there wasn't a Monday video this week because everything has just been such chaos that there hasn't been time to film, edit, or upload anything. So I got through all of my backlog and I need to now start catching up with myself again. So I'm on it. I'm working on it, we'll get there. I'm going to try and film a bunch of stuff today and over the next few weeks just to try and catch up again. We are ramping up running the final event of the game that I help run, and there's an awful lot of writing that comes along with that, and I'm just trying not to give myself too many things. I say having this enormous rolling TBR, but for some reason that doesn't feel stressful. Just the idea of filming videos really does. But we're trying to find that work-life hobby YouTube fun balance, and I think I'm finding it. I'm having a good time, and I've got some really exciting projects that I definitely want to start later in the year, early next year, so I'm trying to set myself up in good stead for those. What have you been reading? What have you been up to? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're down there commenting, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated. You can also come hang out on Discord, where we have chill chats about books, and sometimes I say things that are behind the scenes. I'd like to say an enormous thank you to all the ghosts who haunt me over on Patreon. They support the channel and in return get early access to videos, bonus content, live streams, and more. If you'd like to join their number, that's linked below as well. Thank you so much to you for watching. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one. There's gonna be some bloopers now. What have I done here? Honestly.